to the second episode of Everywhere We Go, Kiddy are massive, the Kidderminster Harriers fan podcast. Delighted to say episode 2 is with a Harriers legend. You only need his first name, Keith, and it's been belting around the stands at Agbra for years. Keith Lowe, welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Really looking forward to it.
How are you? How is everybody, first of all? Just before we came on air, I was saying I'm pleased to be doing this on the back of a win and a big win as well.
Yeah, I think it's turned kind of everybody's frowns upside down after, you know, a really good win at the weekend. So everybody's kind of picked themselves back up again, and the confidence is coming back.
Yeah, how important was that? Not just to get the 3 points and the W, but to score 5, to get the performance. Watching the highlights, it looked pretty rampant.
Yeah, it was, not far off it, the complete performance that we needed really to get everybody, the confidence throughout the whole team really. Obviously I was at the back keeping a clean sheet and the strikers getting goals, so it was just what we needed really.
What impressed me the most, I thought, was also how late the goals came. You looking at the highlights, looking at especially Sammy's goal as well, just the energy he's got in the 95th minute to go from box to box to finish it like that.
Yeah, he's like a robot, Sammy. He just keeps going. No, if it's going to fall to anybody on the edge of their box to take it to the edge of theirs, then it's got to be Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, it ends a period, if you like, which is frustrating to say the least. I mean, when we looked at March anyway in terms of fixtures, I think we thought, well, it's pretty pivotal for results to go how they have gone. How would you describe it?
It was very tough. You look at every little aspect when things aren't going well, and you wonder what you've got to change, what you should change, what you shouldn't change, and it's a really difficult job. We as players are doing everything we can. The staff are trying everything they can, and it's just waiting for the right kind of a bit of luck as well, but just the right things to fall for us really, and just to get over that slump. And we'd have liked it to have been sooner, but we're happy that it's kind of over now.
Yeah, of all the sides to hit a bad patch against, though, that's the frustrating thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Of course, it is. But you have to. It's league football. You have to pay everybody twice, and whether you hit a bad run playing, top of the league, bottom of the league, it doesn't matter. There's still 3 points at stake every week, and nothing changes on our part. We go out to win every game, which we know we're capable of. But yeah, like I say, it's football. It doesn't turn out that way.
No. We'll talk about March and this season a little bit later on. We're going to talk about your career, your time at Harriers, your third spell at Harriers as well. As I say, you're a Harriers legend, given the number of games that you've racked up and how you've played. First question, I'm going to make this the first question with every podcast now, and I should have thought about it for us actually as well. But first question, what does Kidderminster Harriers mean to you?
It feels like home for me, to be honest. Throughout my career, obviously, like you say, my third spell now, and it's been brilliant every time I've come back. It kind of saved me to start with when I was younger. A season had started and I didn't have a club until Mark Yates gave me a call, and fortunately for me, Kiddy had lost or drawn the first 3 games of the season, and he decided he needed to strengthen, and that kind of pulled me out of it really, because I was looking for proper jobs at the time. So that was a big fall from grace, kind of playing at Wolves, and then all of a sudden I'm looking for a real job. So it's always felt like somewhere I've jumped at the chance to come back to be honest.
Yeah, that's a big surprise actually, because if you look at doing your research as you always do on Wikipedia, Wolves obviously is where you started, but you'd won a trophy at Swansea, you played at Queen's Park Rangers, you'd won things as a footballer. To then be thinking about having a proper job, as you say, that must be a real, well, I don't know how you describe it, that must be sort of bump.
Yeah, it was a real shock to the system. I think the country was in the recession at the time. I'd been and trialled with a couple of teams, and I'd been up to Scotland. I went down and spent nearly 3 weeks with Luton, who were looking to get something over the line, but they were waiting to get players out at the time, and clubs just had no money, and just couldn't find anywhere that would that would take me on, or that needed my position. So it was really tough at the time. Yeah.
Well, I've got written down actually, not knowing about those circumstances, and tell us about that initial decision to join us then, because I was going to say, how much of a a conflict was, or how much of a decision did you have to make to drop out of the league? But seemingly it was an easy one.
Yeah, there was, at the time, there was no other choice. I got very, very lucky that Mark Yates decided that he needed to make a change and needed to make a signing, and yeah, I'm very lucky that it was Kiddy, and I, as I always do, I jumped at the chance.
Yeah, and you were Trent Alexander-Arnold to a degree, weren't you, that season, playing it right back? I always remember you, some of your overlapping runs and balls into the box and that sort of thing. It turned out to be, despite that poor start when you weren't involved, it was a really good season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think my first 10 games, I don't think we lost on my first 10 games, so that was good. I think we might have won 4-0 on my debut, I think. So things really started well, and kind of, a little bit like what's happened recently. We've got that result that kind of turns things around and gets confidence back, and we had a great season that year. Yeah,
it was a good side, wasn't it? You sort of arrived, and there was you, there was Justin Richards, Matthew Barnes-Homer was on fire, wasn't he, that season as well? You got Russ in the centre, Martin Britton, you've got Adam Bartlett at the back, you've got all sorts of really quality players in that side who all gelled at the right time.
Yeah, it was a really great squad. You can't forget people like Kreitz as well, who really led the team, and we had a good couple of loans in there, obviously, and it was a really good push for something that we didn't quite make it into the playoffs, but we had a really good season.
Yeah, form sort of tailed off, didn't it? The last 3 games sort of went against you. I was at the Kettering game, the last one. That was so frustrating. I seem to remember chance after chance after chance.
Yeah,
didn't put it away, and then you got hit on the counter.
Yeah, exactly. It's cruel, isn't it? It's cruel. Just when things are, you think things are going well, and it can kick you in the teeth. But that's why we love it, isn't
it? Star players for you from that side. I've reeled off a few names there. There was the flair players, weren't there? Like I say, Martin Britton and a few others. Russ, the industrious in the centre. But who was the standout for you, would you say?
Yeah, Gaffer was a goal-scoring midfielder back then. Yeah, he was free-flowing, and that. We had a great. So I think if you look all the way through, there was not a weak link really. Everybody played their part. Not just 11 that started. It would seem a bit harsh to point anybody out, because everybody kind of really pulled together. Like I say, not just the 11. So it'd be cruel on everyone else to single one person, because it was real team effort.
Yeah, and the frustrating element, obviously, of missing out on the playoffs, but just a few weeks, a month or so later, it all seemed to fall apart. Anyway, I think the club was having financial issues. Russ went off to Burton. I think Adam Bartlett left. Kreitz went off to Oxford. Yeah. From a fan's point of view, it just all seemed to be falling apart. What was it like from inside the dressing room?
Well, to be honest, we finished the season and we weren't too aware what was going on. I think, some of the lads might have had their individual kind of clubs chatting to them and talking to them, obviously, and their options that way. But I don't seem to remember being aware too much, apart from my individual chat with the manager, who said, I don't think we can offer you anything that you'd kind of go for, really. I listened anyway, but Hereford down the road offered me a decent contract, and there was I was more than happy to stay on at Kiddy, but it wasn't an option at the time.
Yeah, I'd totally forgotten it. It completely skipped my mind that you'd signed for Hereford. And I'm disappointed, Keith, I'll have to say, but from Harriers fans.
Well, I was disappointed as well. It wasn't a great season, so there you go.
But it was a return to league football for you.
Yes, yeah, it was. There was a lot of challenges. It was really run on a shoestring. It was, I remember, the manager having to choose between an assistant manager or an extra player. It was really tough. Things were difficult, and fortunately for us, we managed to stay in the league that season.
Mm-hmm. And then I think you left at the end of that season, didn't you? I think that's that one season with Hereford. Yeah. And then, if my maths are correct, I think it was 6 really good seasons for you at Cheltenham and then at York.
6 seasons between those two. Yeah, so I think it was 3.5 at Cheltenham, which were brilliant. We survived the first season. I think I must have played 40-something games that season, and got injured towards the end of the season, but we managed to get over the line and survive, and then we kicked on after that and had a few really good seasons.
Yeah, was Russ with you throughout those 3?
Not the first season, but the 2.5 after. Yes, it would have been. I think.
Yeah, Cheltenham are one of those sides who, I mean, if you've been supporting Harriers as long as I have, when I first started supporting them, Cheltenham were below Kiddy. You know, I remember playing them in the conference as it was back in the day, and I think they won at Agborough late on, and obviously it sort of flew, didn't they, under Steve Cottrell?
Yeah, definitely. They did really well. They got some good players in, and look at them now flying high. So they've done really well for themselves, and it's a really good club, and they deserve it. So all credit to them, really.
Yeah, were they the best times of your career, if you like, in terms of achieving at a higher level in the pyramid?
Yeah, probably as on a consistent level. Yeah, I think to churn out season after season in League Two is very difficult. So yeah, I'm very proud of the fact that they've played so many games in league football, really.
And that was under Yatesy, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. 3.5 years under Yatesy and Neil, yeah.
Yeah, what was he like as a manager for you? Obviously, you had he saved you, as you say. When you first signed for the club, for Kiddy, that is. What was he like for you at Cheltenham?
Yeah, good. We had, like I say, two really good seasons where we got into the playoffs and just fell short. Towards the end, I just honestly wasn't playing enough. It was something I'd spoke to him about and something I was, not happy with at the time. And then out of the blue, I got a call and to say that York were interested, and which was a shock to my system and something I had to kind of process in my head, with it being, so far away from home and things like that. But yeah, it was a chance to play football again, which you can't turn down.
Yeah, when you get an offer like that, there are so many things to think about, aren't they? Because it's what, 200 miles pretty much. I think presumably you've got you're married or you've got a family at that point as well. There's so many things to consider. How do you go about weighing that up?
There was a lot of things to consider. Like you say, we'd been married a couple of years. We were looking to have children. That it was on the agenda, and me moving away from home was something we really had to consider. And really, so even when we decided yes we were going to do it, it was kind of upsetting, really, because we didn't have the option just to take for us both to go up there. My wife works around here where we live so that wasn't an option to all go up there together. So it just meant a lot of time away from each other, whilst trying to start a family at the same time.
But it proved to be the right move at the right time for you.
It did, to be honest. It was, I had a brilliant 2 years up there. Really enjoyed it. The football was, brilliant. Some of the best football I played up there, and we really kind of not turned the club around, because the club was on the up, but really gave it a big push and took it beyond its expectations, I think.
And I don't know how soon after that Russ followed you as well.
Yeah, I signed on loan in the November, I think, and then he signed in the January. Obviously, the manager had asked me about him, and I said, obviously, go all out for it, get him up here. So fortunately, that paid off, and yeah, like I say, we really kicked on. Yeah,
what did you achieve at York? What were your successes?
Well, the first of all, when I signed, we were bottom of the league. York was struggling, which again was another factor in thinking, this is going to be a relegation on my CV if I do this. So that was the biggest achievement. Was that season we got into the playoffs. We went on an unbelievable run. We signed some really good players. Like I say, the gaffer, we signed Big John McComb at centre half with myself, and we added Nick Pope, who's playing now for England. You can't. Like I say, some brilliant signings, and we just went on a crazy run of. It seemed like we won 1-0 every weekend, and yeah, all of a sudden we found ourselves, looking up instead of down.
How is it to see York where they are now? Obviously, Bootham Crescent's gone. They moved into the new stadium, of course. But if you're a York City fan, I had a bit of banter with one today, and I mean, saying you're not massive, we're crowds of under 2,000 at home, that sort of thing, and we both want to get out of this division. I won't say what he called the National League North, but for York City, a club the size of York City, to be in the 6th tier of English football, as a former player, how disappointed are you to see that?
Yeah, it's not nice to see. I made a lot of friends up there, and a lot of people who are really committed to the club, like we've got here, and all they want is the best for the club. And yeah, when you see it kind of, dropping down the leagues, I think they had consecutive relegations, didn't they? And, it wasn't long after I'd left, so there was still a lot of people that that were there and I used to play with. So it was very, very disappointing to see. And just like us, they'll be wanting to return to league football as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I say Russ, obviously a teammate at the time, housemate as well, I think I'm led to believe.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah, we had a little like apartment together, so we kept each other busy anyway, and yeah, we had a good time. It was totally focused on football, no distractions. It was just up there. Everything was based around Saturday and playing football and doing our best for the club.
How is he as a housemate? Please say he's messy, doesn't do the dishes, that sort of thing.
Oh, I would love to say that. I think it's the other way around. Yeah, I think he kept me in shape, to be honest. No, he was the gaffer was born to be a gaffer. He was the same as a player. He's the same as a housemate. He's just that guy, and he was always going to be and always will be a successful manager.
So how did you find yourself back at Kidderminster then from York?
Again, another shock. We signed. They employed Jackie McNamara as manager, who I'd played with previously at Wolves, so I knew him already. I played half a game, I think, in half a cup game for him away at Accrington. He subbed me off at half time, asked me to the office the next training day and told me I could leave. As blunt as that was it. It was, again, a shock to my system. A shock to everybody's system, to be honest. I'd had two really good years there, and all of a sudden I'm looking for a club again.
What do you do in that situation then? Are you straight on the phone to your agent? Are you sort of going through your phone and contacts? What do you do? Yeah,
a little bit. Well, there was a lot to sort out. It was not long into the season. I still had that season on my contract. So there was that to sort out, and obviously looking for a new club. It's like you say, it's agents, it's phone calls. It's, fortunately for me, I had a few phone calls come my way as opposed to having to go out and asking the awkward questions. But like I say, the golden phone call came, Kidderminster, and I was there.
And who was that from? I can't remember who signed you exactly.
That was Colin Gordon. Yeah, I was actually on my way home. I'd packed up my stuff and I was on my way home in the car, and he gave me a ring, and he told me what was going on, and I think a manager had just been sacked. I can't remember who, and he said that he was going to just kind of take the reins till the end of the season, and like I've said, it's Kidderminster, so sign me up.
We were in a mess though, weren't we? I think we were at the bottom of the table. I think we'd had an awful start to the season. Squad wasn't good enough. So did that feature in your thoughts at all, or was it just right? It's Kidderminster, I'm going.
No, not really. Didn't really. I think I remember saying in an interview at the time, being bottom of the league didn't scare me. I've like I say, with York, I've signed for clubs who are struggling, and I like to think I've got the kind of personality and attributes to help turn things around like that. So no, it didn't really bother me at the time. I think the mood of the club was, we are already relegated, so we had nothing to lose. We just go out there, and I think we eventually picked up an away win after however long it had been a silly amount of time since we'd won away. I can't remember where it was now, but we won away, so we gave ourselves a chance in the end. We really had a kind of a hope of surviving. But then, like I say, a couple of bad results in a week, I think we had, and then all hope was gone, really.
Yeah, there's sort of these spells, wasn't there, of maybe 3 wins in a row. I seem to remember a win at home to Macclesfield, I think, where Arthur scored a really, really good goal.
Yes.
Luke Maxwell, I think, had scored in that game as well. So there was all these little, as a fan, there was these little faint sort of rays of light that you could hope, kind of hope for. I never remember poring over a table as much as I did that season, trying to work out permutations as to how we were going to get through it. But ultimately, we got relegated. How tough is that as a player to have the results that you did when you know how desperately you need the points?
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's hard. I think sometimes people don't realise how much it can affect somebody, a football player, as a person. Like especially for people like me who, obviously love the club and are desperate for it to do well. It becomes everything you think about, everything you do. It's in the back of your mind, niggling away. So it is horrible when it happens, but you have to get your head around it. You have to go again. The next season's a new season. It's a fresh start for everybody, and you've just got to get stuck into it. Yeah,
I think the first time I remember experiencing, having spoken to a player about that sort of thing, was at Huddersfield Town in their second season in the Premier League, when they were getting absolutely walloped week in, week out. It was their defender, Christopher Schindler, who'd scored the penalty actually to get them promoted against Reading in the playoff final. And I literally asked him that question: how tough is it to take, ultimately losing, getting thrashed week in, week out? And he gave a similar answer to you. His body language, his face gave it all away. He took it home with him. I can say that much.
Yeah, you've got to. I think you have to buy into it. I always have done. Whatever club I've been at, they've you know what you're going to get from me. You're going to get everything I've got. And when you care so much for results, and when you care so much for your own personal pride as well, you have no choice. You do take it home with you, and like I say, it's there in your thoughts 24/7.
What did you see then on the back of that relegation? What did you see that made you stay?
I think speaking to Colin, and obviously he'd obviously got John Eustace coming in, and guards as well, who what he doesn't know about the level wasn't worth knowing. He was, he was great. We coming in, the training ground was getting improved. Things were going the right way, and we had a good base of players, and we had Arthur and Elton ready to sign, I think, at the time, and they were staying on. So two amazing players for the level. Usman Farnay as well, again in the centre midfield, who ended up not playing in that season. Really, he wasn't John's type of player really, but there were signs that we could go on to have a decent season. So there was kind of light at the end of the tunnel, really.
Yeah, that opening game away at Curzon was like, wow. Yeah. Was just unbelievable. The style of football, the manner of the victory. I don't think I'd been so gutted as conceding a goal as late on as we did at Curzon. I was thinking, right, 6-0, I'll take that. Thank you very much. They got their consolation at the end, but I remember just the buzz on the back of the man of that performance, thinking, hang on a minute, we're back.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were 5-0 up at half time. Yeah. To draw the second half 1-1 was almost a bit like it took the shine off it, really, and things weren't as celebrated in the changing rooms. Really, it was a bit like we should never have conceded a goal today, and it took the shine off it a little bit.
How was John Eustace as a coach? I mean, he's done really well for himself, hasn't he? Obviously, he had the opportunity to go to Queen's Park Rangers from us. He's just got a job with the Islands squad, hasn't he? As assistant manager there as well. He seems to have a really good reputation in the game as a coach.
Yeah, he's very, very meticulous. Very, concentrates on everything really. There's nothing left unturned, and we were, as you could see from Saturday games and Tuesday games, we were total football. Nothing was left. If the ball's in this area of the pitch, everybody knew where they had to be. We did the same things week in, week out. Everybody knew their jobs. Players who weren't playing and were put into the team, everybody knew what we were doing, and it nearly worked. It very nearly worked. I think we just missed a little bit of maybe a bit of nous, a little bit of gamesmanship, and we would have crossed that line. Is
that exciting as a player when you get a coach in who wants to be Mr. Total Football, and maybe for someone in your position as well, because you can be a cultured centre half, can't you? Or you can be a head it and kick it sort of centre half. Is it in your position as a player as you are? Is that something that excited you? Was it a little bit of maybe?
Yeah, it was a nice change, because at York it was pretty much head it and kick it for a long time under Nigel Worthington, which worked. You know, he kept everything simple for everybody in each position, and it did work. But you're not going to play for the same manager year in, year out. You've got to be able to adapt. You've got to be able to have a few strings to your bow. So I think it's just nice to have a manager who believes in what he's doing, and you can just follow that. So you could see the enthusiasm he had for the style of play we had, and everybody really bought into it. And like I say, it very nearly worked.
Is that a style of play that would only work at a full-time club, do you think?
Probably, I would say in my experience, I think it would be hard to go over so many things, training 2 days a week, 1 day a week if you've got a Tuesday game. So I think and the fitness levels, our fitness levels must have been through the roof, because it was like I say, it was total movement. Nobody stood still. You had to be in a position to receive the ball. Every person on the ball needed 3 options. So I think that's how we blew away teams most of the times, is our fitness. Just like the weekend. You say the goals were late for us. It's because of our fitness levels. We are full time, and come the last third of the game, we can really kick on and put teams to the sword. Yeah,
how was he as a man manager? I never interviewed him. I remember being sort of behind the dugout for one of the away games. I think it was away at Chorley. And in his post-match interviews, I think he was hard to gauge. I think at times, certainly from a personal point of view. What was he like?
Yeah, I agree. I was fortunate enough to be captain that year, but never really had many one-to-ones or many kind of opportunities to kind of just chat as a kind of as a captain should, really, with his manager, where you can be open and things like that. We didn't really have that. I hadn't been captain at many teams at that time, and obviously it was one of his first managerial jobs. So maybe that was the reason. We were both kind of learning on the job a little bit. But yeah, it was just that was his style at the time. Each their own, but I just think had I taken it upon myself, had he taken it upon himself to kind of have those chats, I think it would have made things maybe even better, even easier to get points across that we needed to, really.
Did you get the sense at times that maybe the support at Agbra weren't quite not buying into it, but were maybe getting a bit frustrated at times? I know there was times when, certainly from what I can recollect, where we might have been 2-0 up or 3-0 up, and there was still some voices of discontent from the crowd because you're still playing it across the back. Did you recognise that?
You obviously you hear it, of course, but we know what our game plan is. To take it back to the bare bones, if you're not doing what the manager wants you to do, you're not going to play. So
you're not going to kick it long just because the fans say, are you?
Yeah, they don't even, the fact, like, as much as I love the fans, they don't employ me. They don't pick me to play on a Saturday, and I've got to do what the manager wants. And like I say, we all bought into it, so we all wanted to do that. We were all good footballers. You dream of playing in a team that really wants to play football like that. So you do hear it, but we bought into what we were doing, and if you're 2-0 up and you've got the ball, the other team can't score.
Yeah, the Barcelona of non-league football, wasn't it? That was a phrase that was used. It
was a little bit like that. Yeah, it was a little bit at times.
Yeah. And again, ultimately, it ended in disappointment, didn't it? The Chorley defeats in that playoff semi-final. I spoke with Sam Hornby a few months ago. He's hopefully going to come on this podcast as well, because obviously he's at Bradford City, obviously on loan at Colchester at the moment. But he spoke about how much he enjoyed his time on loan there under John Eustace, playing in a side which again had so much talent. I mentioned Arthur again. The goal that stands out for me is the one away at Chorley in that playoff semi-final.
Chorley, yeah. We changed our tactics completely for that game. We played we kind of adapted to their style, mainly because of their pitch. You know, it was not conducive to play good football away at Chorley at the time. I don't think it has been really since either, to be honest. But yeah, so we changed it, and it was a really tough game, and Arthur produced another moment of magic and just last one in the top corner towards the end of the game. So yeah, to go and do the hard job, really, that seemed like the hard game, to go away and play on Chorley's pitch in a style we weren't familiar with, and come out with a win. We kind of ticked that box, and then I don't know whether we thought, oh, we're at home now, so we can play our football and things will be fine, and it cost us in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was just two mistakes, wasn't it? It was mistakes at either end, really, that cost us in the end. That must be so frustrating as well, given how good we'd been on the ball, scoring brilliant goals, and it was ultimately, you weren't outplayed or outfought. It was just sloppy mistakes which cost us.
Yeah, it was. There was a mix-up between me and Sam for the first goal. I probably should have just booted it out the stadium, and you know, taking the responsibility myself. But you know, I'm not going to dwell on things like that. It wasn't to be, and yeah, we really. It's strange when it's over. It's strange when it's over, and all of a sudden the whole season's just ended. You know, after one blow of the whistle from the ref, that's it. It's over. So it is a really strange feeling after that.
Yeah, and it got stranger for you, I think, after that game as well, didn't it? Because we all thought, as the fans, you were staying on. I don't know whether it had been announced by the club that you'd agreed a deal to stay on. I think it had. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you put a tweet out. Anybody know of any clubs that need a centre half? Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So what happened?
So I'd had a clause in my contract to say that 20 games or so, something like that, triggers another year, which was done before Christmas, because obviously I'd played every minute of every game that season. And then come the end of the season, I was just shocked. I was told I was free to leave. There wasn't any kind of real reason kind of nailed down for why. Whether the manager wasn't happy with me, whether they thought they could get better value for money somewhere else, or you know, I was told you're free to look for another club, which was a shock. I remember not sleeping a wink that night, wondering what I'd done wrong, to be honest. It was a shock for everybody. So yeah, that was it. I was obviously the club hadn't announced anything saying that I was saying that that I'd been kind of told I could look elsewhere, and I'd spoke to Colin and I said, and I pleaded with him really and said, I've got to make this public. I've got to let people know that I'm available, because it had been announced that I was staying on for another year, and then so nobody's ringing my phone asking if I need a club or anything like that. So that was it. I was away. We'd taken the kids to Disneyland, and I spoke to Colin. I said, I need to do something here because nobody's ringing me. I'm struggling to find a club, and that's when I had to put a tweet out just to kind of try and draw up some interest, to be honest.
How quickly did your phone ring then after that?
It rang a couple of times. Because I'd had a good season. I think I got in team of the year that year. We had the best defensive record in the league. You know, we'd done well. So I'd had a few phone calls. Nothing that really kind of, nothing that grabbed at me. You know, we had a young family, and I didn't really want to, you know, go back up north or down south or anything like that. I kind of wanted to say kind of commutable, really. And I spoke to Jared Hodgkiss, who just signed for Macclesfield. So I spoke to him, and he said, why don't you give our manager a ring or a message? He passed me on his number. He passed me John Eustace's number on, and I just messaged. I couldn't get through to him. I don't know if it was because I was still in Disneyland or whatever, but I messaged him saying, I don't know if you're looking for a centre back, but I'm available. Could you let me know if you're interested? And fortunately for me, he was. He passed me on to the club secretary, and and yeah, things went from there.
Yeah, and the rest is history, isn't it? It's just ridiculous how things work out.
Yeah, well, what made it stranger was I had to come. My contract wasn't signed before pre-season at Kidderminster started back, so I had to come back training with Kidderminster for a few days at Lilleshall, and train because I was still under contract.
So how was that then? How that must have been weird for one, because you're not wanted. You're going to another club anyway. What was the atmosphere like? Was it?
Yeah,
okay?
I think things had changed a little bit. I think I was not trying to be coerced, but the question was asked, kind of, what, you're here now, why don't you stay? It may be a bit of sour grapes from me. My thing was, I've had 2 months off. I've not got any better. If you didn't think I was good enough, then I've not got any better over the summer.
And who said that to you?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know whether it was the manager. I can't remember. I just remember being asked, why don't you stay? Might have been one of the lads, to be honest. Might have been one of the lads.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't remember who asked the question, but yeah. So I did maybe a week and a half training, and but by then, signings were starting to come in. I was already being replaced. I think Dales had signed already before I'd left, so that's obviously a replacement for me. So so he was in the door, and I'd kind of verbally agreed with Macclesfield already anyway. So I didn't want to let them down, and unfortunately again that worked out well for me as well.
Yeah, what were your expectations going to Macclesfield? I don't imagine winning the conference title was amongst it.
It wasn't. We were odds on to be relegated, I think, at the start of the season. The budgets, wasn't great at the time, but the manager had put together a good squad. It was very. I don't know if you like it, non-league. It was very, off the cuff a little bit. We weren't. At the very start, we weren't 100% sure where we were training from one day to the next, but it was turned right around, and the staff there did an amazing job with the help of, with a big help really of quite a few sponsors and things like that, who paid for things like overnight stays if we needed them, or train journeys down, or this, that, and the other. It was a really kind of community kind of achievement, really.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we got a decent squad together and pulled in the same direction like you need to do, and yeah, surprised ourselves.
I think a lot of Harriers fans kept an eye on you as well. I think, given the way that we felt you were treated, and also that, obviously, as you mentioned, Jared was there. I think Nathan Blissett was in the squad as well. There's a number of ex-Harriers in that squad as well. So we were all keeping an eye on it. I remember you, I think, did you go on a goal scoring run as well? I seem to remember you got on a little run of goal scoring, I think.
Oh, I can't remember.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think I only got one goal that season. I think, but it was an important one away at Hartlepool.
Yeah.
I've got a habit of scoring away at Hartlepool. But yeah, I scored a 97th minute winner at Hartlepool, and that season. But like I say, it worked out really well, and yeah, it was one of the best seasons I've had as a footballer, to be honest.
There is one Macclesfield goal in that season that really sticks out for me. Do you think you might be able to know which one it was that got a lot of that went viral?
The Macclesfield goal. Oh, the halfway line goal.
No, I don't even know about that. No.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think we play away at Maidenhead, I think it was, and Ryan Lloyd scored from the halfway line. That sprung to my mind straight away.
Yeah. Oh, no, the one that I'm thinking of is the winner away at Woking.
Oh yeah, where it stopped in the puddle. Yeah. Yeah, of course, because that was on TV, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, just another crazy day from a really enjoyable but crazy season, to be honest. Which was like massively enjoyable, and the kind of the bonds and the friendships you make from a team who achieve something like that is amazing, and we still, we've got our WhatsApp group that we chat on almost daily, from Macclesfield, and it really is a great achievement.
Mm. When you score goals like that, do you sort of look at each other and think, this is happening now?
I think the penny didn't really drop. We had a tough week. We played Aldershot and Tranmere and Wrexham in a week, and won all three. And that's when kind of we started believing, I think, that this could actually happen. To be honest, I don't think anybody else still believed it could happen. I think people were just waiting. Oh, Macclesfield will drop off. They'll blow up. But we didn't. We were lucky to have such a good manager, to be honest, in John Askew, who kept everybody going, kept everything in line, and just a great bunch of lads who really, really worked hard for each other.
Yeah. What I love about that goal at Woking is it Marsh, was it, who took the shot initially? Peels away as if he's scoring. So he's not even looking at the ball, is he? He's going towards the corner for the knee slide.
I know.
The defender's got it, stops, looks away.
The defender, literally just walking away with his head in his hands. And,
not even registering the crowd are going wild, the Woking fans behind the goal as well. And then I don't know who scored it in the end, but it was just
Danny Whitehead, I think it was, who towed it over the line. So who of course is a filed now, I think, at the minute. So it was again, like I say, another crazy moment in what was a very crazy but amazing season.
Yeah, and then obviously, so you win promotion. Did John Askew go to Shrewsbury then straight away? Yeah. And then, so how was the first season back in the league? Was that when the problems started to hit?
Yeah. So the lads weren't. The lads, we were hoping we'd all spoken, try and stay together. I think had we been able to do that, we would have been okay in League Two. I'm more than confident we would have survived in League Two. But again, like I've said, with the budget, the money wasn't there, which obviously we all found out about eventually. And people just left. The manager left, and things just deteriorated from there, to be honest.
Did you feature much in that first season? I can't remember how much you featured in that season.
Not in the first season in the league. No. No, there was obviously Mark Yates got the job again, and he brought in a couple of lads who obviously were putting ahead of me. So no, I found my chances kind of limited, and it kind of just fizzled out, to be honest, that season.
Yeah, and then did you? I'm trying to remember. Did you survive the first season back? I can't quite remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we survived. Yeah, there was all sorts going on, but we did get over the line eventually. By hook and by crook, to be honest. Just picked up a couple of draws and a couple of wins here and there, and ultimately survived.
Yeah, I remember I'd done a game for Final Score on BBC. It was Macclesfield away at Notts County. I think it was Boxing Day. I think it might, or New Year's. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think you were on the bench, because I seem to remember. I can't remember. There was I think, did you win it? I can't remember whether you won it. There was a late sending off. There was 3-1. I think maybe. I can't remember exactly what the score was.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you were either on the bench or I think you were on the bench. I can't quite remember. All I remember was Sol Campbell being the smartest dressed manager I think I'd seen for quite some time. How was he as a gaffer?
Different. We didn't see eye to eye, to be honest. I believe that we were poorly managed, poorly run at the time. He enjoyed being a manager. I think he enjoyed the status of being a manager, but he obviously was not clued up with the level. Obviously, his career is one we'd all dream of. Playing for your country so many times and playing the Premier League, winning what he's won, you can't argue with that. It was amazing. But I think when he came down to our level, I don't think the respect for what we had achieved was there. Certainly wasn't with me. He didn't respect what I'd achieved in my career. He didn't, everything he spoke to me about was only for him to make make himself look better and to make his team better, which ultimately is his job, obviously. But at the same time, there was no kind of mutual respect there with me, to be honest. Once, he'd offered me a loan move because I wasn't playing, and it was nowhere near. It was, it was 2 or 3 leagues below, which, it was part-time, it was miles away from home. And he tried to force me to go there, and didn't like it when I kind of stood my ground, really. I was a seasoned footballer by then. I knew, a grown man with kids, and I'm not going to be bullied by another man to go to a club I don't want to.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he didn't like that. So we didn't see eye to eye, which meant I ended up training not with the squad in a different place, and there were 6 of us who were just brushed aside, really, and ended up just training on our own.
I was parked in the same car park as you on the back of that Notts County game in that cattle market place, and I think I was with all my bags and all my kit and stuff, and you were about 20-30 meters ahead. I think there was a car share going on, definitely, because you were piling into one car. And I'm no body language expert at all, but I thought things aren't quite right.
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah, there were quite a lot of just strange going on. That just normal things that you take for granted, I suppose, as a footballer, that aren't necessarily, don't seem important at the time, and when things like that change and strange things start happening, then you wonder what's going on. It was things to do with money as well. The club had no money. A couple of us hadn't been paid, but the club can find money to use all the training pitches which they hadn't kind of paid for, and we had drones watching training, and which all had to be paid for, and all this going on, but I had no wages coming in.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who doesn't get paid, it's a worrying time, isn't it? I think if you're a footballer who doesn't get paid, there's maybe the stereotype, you're a footballer, you earn loads anyway, you'll have loads of money in the bank, you'll be fine for a couple of months. It's not the case, is it?
It really isn't. It really, it didn't. I was very fortunate. It didn't affect me as much as some, but there were young lads there who weren't getting paid, who were renting accommodation. They got young kids, and they're being served eviction notices, and you go to the manager and say, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there was 2 of us to start with. There was me and Pete Vincenti. Everybody else got paid apart from us 2. So we went to the manager and said, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we haven't been paid. And in no uncertain terms, he told us that it's not his problem. Go and speak to the owners. He's the manager. That's the
leadership that you want, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of many things that didn't sit right with me. I've been in the game a long time. Okay, I haven't achieved what Sol achieved, but as a man, I need to get paid. I need to provide for my family, and so did the event. Eventually, 6 of us had to get together and speak to a solicitor and go down that route.
Eventually, you come home, as you say, then a couple of moves, Nuneaton, Bradford Park Avenue, various places, and you come back, and it was under Jimmy Sham, but I imagine it was Russ that sort of made the call.
Yeah, it definitely was. I'd signed. Things didn't go well at Nuneaton. I couldn't get my head around the level, to be honest. It was a bit not what I was used to anyway. So I went up to Bradford. Again, a club who really looked after me. They were great. I really enjoyed my short time there. So nothing against them, but I was on a non-contract, and I was on my way home in the car from a home game. Obviously, a long journey back, and the gaffer's number comes up on my phone, which we were in touch anyway. Yeah. Obviously being good friends and things like that. So, but yeah, obviously the magic question came: what do you think about coming and helping us out? And again, sign me up.
And so you came in pretty much straight away, and you were playing alongside Reece Williams, which got a lot of headlines, didn't it? Of course, his arrival at the club, being on loan from Liverpool. Not too many games after that, though. The season's cut short. We'll talk about the sort of the season ending and the impacts of COVID in a minute. But Reece Williams obviously went back to Liverpool, played in the Champions League, in the Premier League. Great for him. What was it like playing alongside him? And I imagine he'll have, say, good words for playing alongside you as well.
Yeah, I hope so. If there's anything that I've helped him with that he's taken on board, then that's great. But yeah, again, an amazing young player who did well, obviously with us, and has gone on to do, and achieve and experience amazing things at such a young age. Obviously, it probably came earlier than he could ever imagine, due to circumstance. But just for him to have that kind of that experience, that thing to kind of draw back on and use that experience to tackle future things, then it's really going to stand him in good stead, and he'll definitely find his feet and start playing some constant, regular football sooner rather than later.
Did you have words of advice for him? Did he come to you and ask any advice about certain things?
Not particularly. I think I'm quite, I'm sure we would have had chats about this, that, and the other technical things, and there was nothing groundbreaking, I suppose. Really, nothing kind of that's going to change his life. He's got the world at his feet. He's got people from experts from in every aspect of life, probably at Liverpool, telling him what he can, what he can't do, and what he should do. So but yeah, I suppose maybe little bits of kind of how to defend in the national leagues, and things like that. Like I might have given him a couple of hints and that, but like I say, nothing groundbreaking. But yeah, if there's anything that I've given him that's going to help him, then I'd be very proud.
You still keep in touch?
Yeah, I think he keeps in touch with a lot of the lads. If he can help out in any way, if anybody wants this, that, and the other tickets, or I think he's helped a few lads out with boots and things like that. So he's a really, really lovely lad. So someone who I wouldn't kind of shy away from saying hello if I was to bump into him in the streets, kind of thing.
And then not too long after you arrive, Jimmy goes off to Solihull, and all of a sudden your teammate, your roommate is your gaffer.
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't as strange as I thought it was going to be. I think because we'd had that little time where he was staff and he was the assistant manager, I think that kind of helped the dynamic a little bit, and kind of eased us in. But yeah, I think I'm coming around by now, calling him gaffer and not yeah, it's beginning to come normal now. But like I said before, he was always going to be a manager, and I'm kind of very fortunate that I get to be a part of his teams.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it you watched, but I said about that sort of that transition from all of a sudden being in the dressing room as a player to walking in as the manager all of a sudden. Yeah. And I mentioned obviously been a teammate with him at various other clubs and things, and he said it was an easy enough transition for him, I suppose. But I imagine for you it's probably a bit more difficult, because you all of a sudden have to tread careful is the wrong word, but your mindset has to change, I suppose, a little bit.
Yeah, I think the hardest bit is to kind of obviously I have to still act as a player around the other lads. If the other players were to see me being too kind of matey with him, then he might lose that bit of authority, or people think that they can kind of speak to him not speak to him in the same way, because I'm sure he wouldn't mind, because he's very personable, he's very good with the lads. None of the lads would worry about anything like that. But I think I don't know, maybe it's just me overthinking it really, but I like to show the especially the younger lads that this is the manager of the football club. It's not, the relationship we have is not the norm at any level. So I like to try and when we are in training, when we are at work, to try and keep it as professional as we can.
Yeah.
Really.
And then all of a sudden COVID hits. Obviously that season is brought to an end. It's points per game. We're so far down the table, we don't even matter at that point. The next season starts. Russ had put together what we thought on paper was a really good squad, but we have to watch streams of games. What is it like all of a sudden you're playing in empty stadiums?
Oh, the whole soul of football was gone for however long, wasn't it? It was, you won't find a footballer who enjoyed that kind of period. It was, like I say, it was soulless. It was, you're still playing for your football club, but the football's not football without fans. It's not. It felt like the olden days in my case. When you play reserve games at I was playing reserve games at Molineux and there was about 15 people there. It felt like that. It felt like every game was kind of, to start with, felt like a pre-season friendly game. It was not enjoyable. It was, you really had to kind of draw on every bit of experience to kind of get yourself going, really, and pump yourself up for a game that unfortunately ended up kind of feeling normal, and it wasn't right.
Yeah, I'd covered a fair few games. I covered Bradford City at the time, so a stadium the size of Valley Parade that holds 20,000 people is just empty. It's cavernous, everything echoes, and it was just not enjoyable because everything felt like a friendly. You could hear every single shout from every single player, from the managers, from everything like that. And we were lucky enough that one of the games was Bradford City away at Forest Green. It was all the test events, so we had like 1,000, which at Forest Green is quite a decent attendance. So that was like a massive novelty. That was brilliant. But then all of a sudden you're back again to playing in front of empty stadiums, and from a fan's point of view, it was so hard as well. I don't know how many fans you spoke to, but I remember watching your equaliser against York, I think, through a buffering stream. Just kind of like, has it got in? Has it not got in? And then it's just you find yourself, especially, I imagine if results had gone pear-shaped as well, that disconnect just gets even bigger and bigger.
Yeah, which is something at the minute we're really working hard to kind of to bring back. It does. You kind of you lose touch with everybody. People you see week in, week out at home games and and away games too. You lose that touch with people, and it's like I say, it's just not the same. A football club's not. There's no point playing football without fans. It's not enjoyable at all. It's the reason we play is to put smiles on people's faces. It's to enjoy playing football with people watching and enjoy the feeling of people getting behind you and all pulling, like I said, in the same direction. So that's the only way I could find football enjoyable. It's just not the same without it.
Yeah, and then yet again, that season is brought to an early close. That's declared null and void in the end. But that was February, I think it was declared null and void. So all of a sudden, you've got this long gap between February and July time for when you come back. So what happened during that point? Obviously, players are put on furlough, I think Russ has said. So you've had those difficult conversations, and all of a sudden, you've got the prospect of 5 months potentially of just waiting, I suppose, not being able to do very much.
Yeah, I think we were very lucky because because the gaffer and Jimmy were still happy to come in, put training sessions on a couple of times a week, and which did wonders for everybody's kind of mental health more than anything, kind of, and kind of gave you a focus instead of just, sitting at home with nothing to do, really. You can go out for as many runs and keep as fit as you like, really, or as many as you're allowed to do in a day at that time. And so it was great to kind of still be in a bubble and kind of have people to to talk to, really, people to go and enjoy playing football with. The club handled it better than any other club that I've heard, obviously at our level, and we are very, very fortunate that the owners and the staff and the management staff and kind of put that on for us, really.
Yeah, how important was that communication? I know Russ has said before that Richard Lane and I think Neil Mail. I think there was a picture I can remember of them both addressing the squad. I think it was at that time.
Yeah.
So how important was that communication for everybody?
It was huge. It was just there was nothing going on that we didn't know about. the club were doing everything right. They had nothing to hide. We were following all protocols. We were, they were just literally giving us any information we needed as soon as they got it. And the lads reacted really well to it, as you would, because it's the right thing to do. It's the fair thing to do, and everybody could see that the club were doing everything right, and they had that, and they had our kind of well-being. They were putting that first. So, like I say, we were extremely lucky to be playing for Kiddy at that time. Because I don't think many other football players at other clubs would have been treated as kind of fairly, respectfully, and again, with the mental health being thought of as humans more than anything.
Yeah, and especially what you've gone through at Macclesfield as well. That, I suppose, that sort of pays extra dividends, and you, along with others, want to pay that back, I suppose, in performances. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, once it all started again, we knew we kind of owed it to the staff, the owners, and obviously to get fans back in the stadium again who had to wait so long to come and watch the team play. We wanted to kick it off and get everybody kind of involved again, really, and bridge that gap that had gotten so big between between players and supporters. So it's something the lads really, really enjoy, and long may that continue.
Yeah, that first training session back when you were allowed back and things looked like they're returning to normal. How was that first training session back in July? How was it?
Yeah, great. There were a lot of things again to kind of go over and kind of still protocols to kind of follow and things like that. But yeah, it was great to get back with the lads and kind of really kind of start being a footballer again, really. Kind of kick off. It's like the start of a new kind of career again, if you like, and a fresh start. So it was it was a great feeling to kind of get back on the grass and putting some hard yards again.
Yeah, nobody could have foreseen, obviously, what or how the season has turned out as it has. I think probably the first sign, or maybe the first thing I saw of that reconnect was that Manchester United game. I know Russ has said that they made a deliberate point of doing the sort of the half a lap with all the fans and things afterwards. But to have an Aggborough Stadium as full as it was for that Manchester United game, for you as someone who's you've suffered a relegation with the club, you've played at an empty Aggborough as well. That must have been important, I think, both for you, for us, for the owners, and for the fans, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think that might be kind of like you say, kind of kicked it all off. I think the fact that we finished the game strong and we got something out of the game in the end, I think that kind of sparked everybody's interest again a little bit as well. People who were first time at Aggborough, to see
because of Man United.
Yeah, exactly. But if you've seen that kind of performance and you've seen the result, it kind of makes you think it's worth coming back. So obviously that helped. But yeah, like you say, to have everybody in the stadium again, Aggborough goes crazy when it's full. It's a great place to play football. Like I keep saying it, but we're so lucky to have a stadium like that and to be at a club like Kidderminster that some of us don't know we're born, really. So it's great. It's great to give back to everybody who's not just staff at the club, but supporters who come down and pay their money and come and watch us play.
How quickly did you think, from a playing point of view, that the season would start to pan out as it did?
I think you can tell early on as a player kind of how things are going. Not exactly how things are going to go, because it's football. It's unpredictable. It's that's why we love it again. But I think you can get some kind of idea when you start your pre-season games. You can see the new players that you've signed, and they come in, how they kind of bed in with the team and how things are going to go. So I think we had a very, very good, we had a strong core of players, of a good balance of older heads and some really good young players, and it gave us every chance to have a good season, to be honest.
Yeah, it's almost that the way that a new player beds in is that almost as important as to how good a player they are. If they can fit in seamlessly, that's just a massive tip, isn't it?
Yeah, I think personality is just as important as talent. Without naming any names, I've played with some amazing players who just don't fit in at clubs, and so their talent gets wasted, and you know it's a waste of time for club and player, to be honest. So personality is massive, which is something I know the gaffer and Jimmy really look into. You know, they've got so many contacts. You know, they'll find somebody who knows any player you like, really, and I know for a fact that would be, you know, one of the first questions they ask is what are they like as a person, to you know, first and foremost. And if you're not willing to put a shift in, if you're not willing to work hard and give your all for this club, then you won't even be in consideration.
Who's been player of the season for you so far? Sorry to put you on the spot.
It's not even on the spot. Caleb Richards has been unbelievable. He stands out a mile for me. Obviously, you know, normally it would be a tough decision because we've got some amazing players who've done, you know, brilliant this season. But for me, I think, you know, he's played every minute so far, and he just churns out performance after performance, week after week, and you know, we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, and you mentioned that sort of personality. I've not met him, but I've seen a few interviews and various bits and bobs. He seems like a good guy. Yeah,
really, really nice bloke. So genuine. Again, yeah, he'll give you everything. So that's what we've got. We've got a group of lads who would do anything for each other, and you can only succeed when you've got a group of players like that.
A word on Sam Austin as well. I mentioned this to Russ about it. It is like a new signing, isn't it? Because he played in so many positions. You were in the squad when he first signed, weren't you? I think he was one of John Eustace's first signings, and he was left back, right back in the changing rooms, wasn't he, at times as well? One of those things. The transformation has been incredible.
Yeah, I think he epitomises the kind of late bloomer kind of stereotype, really. For what reason we don't know, whether he was just moved into the wrong positions, he was playing the wrong positions, or whether it was a kind of mindset thing. But he's been amazing. He's just all of a sudden bloomed into this player that I can't believe we've managed to keep hold of, to be honest. We're very lucky that, you know, that maybe he enjoys it so much here, or for whatever reason, but he's here and he's our player. So again, like we are with so many of the other lads, we're really lucky to have him, and he's been one of the main reasons for our success.
Yeah, and he seems like the ultimate pro as well. He seems one that has bided his time. I know he's spoken, I think, about those times under John Eustace initially, that ultimately he was just happy to gain, you know, any sort of experience really and learn from that. Yeah, which again, you can't buy that experience. You can't. The good players are the players who do draw on experiences, and they do, you know, take a step back and look at things really, and realise themselves, first of all, what they can do to make a success of things, and to really kind of give themselves the best chance of being the player they can be. And he's whatever he's done right. So we are absolutely reaping all the rewards for it. And a word on you as well. I don't think I'm probably right in this, in that you haven't played as much this season as you probably would have liked to initially. I know you're getting your opportunity now, obviously with injuries and things like that. But when you see Nathan Cameron signing and then Bajrami signs as well, what's going through your head as somebody who plays in their position as well?
Yeah, of course, it's frustrating first and foremost. I want to play. I'm 36. I don't care. I still want to play every game we've got. I've been like that my whole career. I've been fortunate enough. I've played 4, 5, 6 seasons where I've managed to play every minute of every game, and that's the kind of player I am. So first and foremost, as a player, you know, it has been frustrating, but I know. But at the same time, having been around the game for so long, I know what my value is. I know the different attributes I bring to this squad. I know that, you know, I bring a lot more to the squad than just playing. You know, I can help in other ways as well. So I do know my worth. I do understand what I can do, and I try and do that when you know, when I am playing and when I'm not.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not going to be a sulker, are you, on the bench? You've got to pull your weight, whether you're kicking a ball or not, haven't you?
Yeah. first of all, yeah, for the squad, you know, I wouldn't like it if I was in the team and I could see somebody in the corner sulking, bringing everybody down with them and things like that, which believe me is very hard to do. It's hard to kind of put a face on, and when you're feeling sorry for yourself, to kind of really give off, you know, kind of the good vibes that's needed in a dressing room before a game and things like that. It is difficult. Well, I find it difficult anyway, just from that raw kind of disappointment of not playing. But yeah, like you say, you can't bring everybody down. You know, we ultimately want to achieve, and obviously with the manager being one of my mates as well, you know, I want him to succeed. I'm desperate for him to succeed. I'll do anything he needs, you know, to make him be able to be a success.
Is that almost tougher in a way than you've got one of your mates, if you like, who's not picking you at times?
Yes and no. It is, but only from a football point of view. I think he probably finds it harder than me. Yeah, because it's in his hands at the end of the day. So it's probably more difficult and awkward for him, I would guess. He's the manager. He's the manager of the football club. He picks the team. Yeah, you know, it's his club. It's his team. It's his career. It's his. You know, he picks a team that he thinks is going to win, and he's going to, you know, succeed with the football club and go on to manage, you know, whether it be at Kidderminster or not, at higher levels. So yeah, like I say, I think he probably finds it a bit more awkward than me, to be honest.
I think he said, did you knock on his door? I think after dropped is the wrong word, because it makes it sound like it's a harsh word, I think, being dropped. But yeah. I think he said you've had some conversations at times, not heated, but he says, you know, you'll have wanted explanations as to why you weren't being picked.
Yeah, yeah. I've always been the same. If I'm not playing, I want to know why. Like I say, I've been fortunate enough to be in the majority of games that I've been involved in. I've played. So yeah, it is a shock to my system when that doesn't happen. So I will always look for a reason why and see what I can do about it to get back in the team. Yeah.
Is it harder when you're not involved, when the side is doing as well as we have been, or is it sometimes more difficult when you're in a side and you're not playing and they're not doing well? I often wonder.
Yeah, I think it's more difficult when they're not doing well.
Yeah,
I think you've got no kind of, if a team's doing well and you're not playing, there's no reason for you to be in the team. If that kind of, it's putting it bluntly, but I think if you're not in the team and the team's not doing well and you're still not getting picked week after week, something's, I think that would question, or make me question myself a lot more, really. Yeah,
but you've got to be ready, haven't you? You've got to have that mindset of an opportunity might come at any moment. I think it came back for you for the Grimsby FA Cup game. I think it was on the back of Bajrami's red card, I think, at Chorley. I'm trying to work out
Chorley away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is difficult to stay ready, especially at my age. I think I've surprised a few by being able to keep myself ready and to do well when called on. So yeah, I take pride in the fact that I can, you know, keep myself going and be ready and still perform at a level that's needed, really. So something I'm quite proud of.
I think man of the match, was it in that Grimsby game? I can't remember. I know. So
I can't remember. I'm not sure if there was an official one or not.
Yeah.
But it was an enjoyable game. It was nice to. It's also nice to kind of remind yourself that you're capable, really, because you know it's hard not to doubt yourself when you're not being picked and you're not playing, and it's been a few weeks and you think my match fitness might not be there and things like that. So it's nice to kind of reassure yourself that you can still perform at the level.
Yeah, in such a big game as well.
Yeah, well, obviously that bit of extra pressure as well, knowing what it means to the club and to be able to contribute to the club's good run in the FA Cup is something, again, they're really proud of.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where the Keith chants started coming from. That was the first time I was made aware of it anyway.
Yeah, I've had it not to this extent, but I've had it at other clubs I've been at. The chant. But yeah, like I say, not to this extent, not to being put on mugs and t-shirts and things like that. I've definitely not been that far before. So no, it's brilliant. I love hearing it. It gives me a lot of kind of good vibes going into a game. It's nice to know that there's people shouting your name, there's people cheering for you. There's it gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, probably the most important question of this entire interview is: have you got a Keith mug?
I have.
Yes,
I have.
good.
Fortunately, Matty Paddock saved me one. I was straight on the phone to him to make sure he held me one back, and he'd already done it. Bless him. So I've got one at home. I haven't used it. I'm going to try and keep it. So I don't want to put it in the dishwasher and ruin it really. Or let the kids get their hands on it and drop it.
I mean, there was only 36, so you might have to pull in some favours if it does get dropped.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm assuming you've not got a t-shirt though.
I haven't got a t-shirt. I've only seen a couple of t-shirts, to be honest. I think after the Reading game, a young lad asked me to sign it when everybody ran on the pitch.
Yeah.
So I've only seen a couple, but it's nice to know they're out there.
Yeah. And that obviously that Grimsby game was part of a brilliant FA Cup run. As a player as experienced as you are, presumably the excitement levels were just as high as maybe the younger players in the squad.
Yeah, definitely. It's no matter how old you are, to be able to play against players that we got to play against is amazing. It's you really get to. It's an eye opener to especially for young players, really, to see the kind of commitment and the levels you need to achieve to succeed and kind of achieve what they have. And for us older lads, it's just great to be able to to tell everyone that you've played against the best, and especially not at all to embarrass ourselves. It was really kind of something to tell everyone about, really.
Yeah, I still watch the highlights of the West Ham game, hoping for a different result. It's just it's one of those ones that I still can't believe it. I was working for the World Service that day. I couldn't get a ticket for the game, so I got a day getting paid to watch it on a big screen, which is fine. But they were coming to me for updates, and they outed me as a Kidderminster fan. Normally, as a reporter, you kind of you're completely neutral. Yeah, but no, they outed me as a Kidderminster fan, and it was tearing your hair out moment when Declan Rice got that equaliser. World Service crossed literally to take the 5 live commentary. Let's cross we're 3 minutes away from history. Literally as soon as they cross, Declan Rice scores. It's just head in hands moment. For you, obviously you came on in extra time. There would have been that disappointment, I suppose, of not being in the starting lineup. Was there a degree of expecting that, because you hadn't been in the side, I don't think, for a little while anyway? But how tough was that to firstly get your head round, and then what was it like watching from the bench as history was unfolding?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember. I don't know what time it was when I actually thought to myself, we could actually do this here. Yeah. I'm not sure. And then for the 90 minutes to end that way was disappointment that I don't think I'd felt before. I don't think to that extent. Certainly not at football anyway. It was beyond devastating. It was it was upsetting for it to go that way, but for the coach and the lads to react the way they did, and we spoke after. I spoke to obviously all the lads after, and I don't think the hardest thing to take was the way we lost it, for a ball to ping around the area like that, and just for it to be a kind of scrappy goal. Had somebody put it in from 30 yards, you hold your hands up. They're amazing world-class footballers. We'll take that, but for it to ping around the box, pinball around the box like that, and for them to get a tap in was kind of made it really hard to take.
Talk us through when Alex scored. Then you're on the bench. I've seen. I love one of the replays. I don't know whether you've seen it. There's somebody on their phone If you watch when they show Russ, when they cut to Russ's reaction, you can behind Russ, there's somebody on their phone just texting, and everybody around him just gets up, so they miss the goal completely. But from your point of view, and as a squad on the bench, when Alex puts that in, what's it like?
I just remember jumping. I think I usually sit on the back row of the bench, and I think I landed on the pitch because I jumped up, and yeah, it was just. It's the squad kind of togetherness. It is, Alex scores, we all score, kind of thing. So it was, whether we were on the pitch, we were on the bench, whether lads who weren't involved, we all scored that goal against West Ham. That's what it felt like to us all, and it was just a great moment to kind of experience with some really good friends.
Yeah, and you got on in extra time, obviously. What was Russ's message to you? And for someone of your experience, was there nerves as well?
A little bit of nerves, because obviously I didn't want to let anyone down, let myself down first and foremost. Let Russ down. I didn't, and let everybody in the stadium down, really. Again, pride to be able to represent the club in such a big game again as well. So it was, there were more than a few lads out there on the kind of last legs after putting such a shift in, and so it was to get the nod was really good, and I enjoyed the despite the result, enjoyed the few minutes I was on the pitch for.
Did you have a joke with Declan Rice? I've asked for some questions, and one of the questions was, can you share? Here we go. Can you share the joke between you and Declan Rice during the closing stages of the West Ham game? Was there a bit of?
We were just. I think it was me and Monty. We were just because I think Zuma had gone down injured, and they'd used their extra sub that they get for extra time, and he didn't realise that they would be down to 10 men. So we were chatting about that, and I think Monty might have said, like, you're a top international footballer playing for England, you don't even know the rules. So we were just having a laugh about that, really, and he didn't realise, and he was saying that we'd have to probably drop back and play in defence if Zuma was to go off. So it was just such a nice guy, by the way, Declan Rice. He was amazing with all the lads. I'm sure he didn't leave until he'd signed everybody's programme or this, that. He was in the change room with us after, and it's such a nice, humble bloke who's an amazing international footballer.
Yeah, I mean, defeat ultimately, and it was heartbreaking, and I think a lot of the commentary said, that it is a heartbreaking defeat. The BBC guys, Mark Chapman, said he can't remember as tough a defeat on opposition as that. How long did it take to get over? And ultimately, you've got to get over it because you're back to the bread and butter of the league pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit obviously a come down to realise it's at the end, but there was still that pride that we had done ourselves proud. It was if you'd have told us we'd have played West Ham in the fourth round of the FA Cup at the start of the season, you wouldn't have found one person who would have kind of said that was going to happen. So despite the result, I think once the kind of dust settles and you can kind of take it in properly, I think you realise that that there is that pride, and there is that we, despite the result, we done ourselves, we did all right. So it's disappointment, but like I was straight onto the lads after the game and saying, I know we've lost, but don't ruin what happens now. Your evening seeing your family and friends who've just watched you play on TV or watched you play against West Ham. Don't let the disappointment of the result ruin your experience of this now. So I was just hoping, especially the young lads could get their head around it soon enough to kind of enjoy what was going on, really.
Were you down for a penalty, by the way?
With the players we had on the pitch, I probably
that's what I was thinking.
I certainly would have put my hand up. I've never turned down. I would never turn down a penalty. Us centre halves, we don't get a chance to score many goals. So I always back myself on a penalty. So I would, I think probably with the players on the pitch, I might have snuck in the first 5.
Yeah, you would have taken one in that famous shootout at York, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have taken my second one had they not missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I remember is Kreit's penalty that night. Yeah. Crazy night. Crazy.
Cold as well. I don't think that.
Yeah, very cold. Yeah. Very cold.
And then obviously, so back to the bread and butter. Excuse me. Back to the bread and butter of it all. I mean, the crowds were flying, weren't they, as well? Extra 1,000 on a Tuesday night. Everything is going really well. Oh, we're away to the bottom of the league. We'll be fine, says the fans. And then all of a sudden, let's talk about this March then, and it just sort of starts to go wrong.
Yeah, for no unknown reason, to be honest. It's the way it works. You know, I think the gaffer's gone on record saying it, that there literally is no easy games. That you're either playing against a team who are fighting for their life or a team who's pushing for the playoffs, at least. So whether you can't say form goes out the window as such, because we're a team flying high against it. At the time against a team who were struggling down the bottom. So on paper we should win, but like I keep saying, it's just football. It's why we love it so much. And whether you're on the wrong end or the right end, it's just the way things go, and obviously we don't know why, but it started an unfortunate run for us.
And presumably nobody saw that Gateshead result coming.
No. Again, we'd done everything we could. We spent the night up in the hotel and did everything right, did everything we needed to do to win the game, and it didn't. Credit to Gateshead, they were very good. They moved the ball really well, and on the day we couldn't compete.
Yeah, and I mentioned right at the start, March looked so pivotal. I don't think I've ever seen a run of fixtures with anybody where they played first, second, third, and fifth in consecutive weeks, pretty much. As a player, as a squad, did you look at that and think, wow, that is a tough run, or is it that one game at a time mentality?
It is, because that's what's drilled into us. The next game is all that matters, and winning that game, your next game is the most important thing. Obviously, we're aware that it's a tough month, the way the season's panned out, but yeah, we're always focused on that next game, on that next 90 minutes, and we do everything we can in that 90 minutes to win the game. Obviously, you can't win them all, which is an easy way to look at it, really. But we didn't perform to the abilities we've got, and we've gone about putting it right.
I mean, a few fans have said Gateshead, Brackley filed. I mean, it's 6 defeats, isn't it, against those 3 sides, promotion rivals, playoff rivals. Psychologically, is that damaging? Is it a recipe for revenge, for want of a better word? Is it a motivation now going forward? Because the likelihood is we could well play one of those in the playoffs.
I think it depends on the mentality of your squad. I think it depends on the responsibility will fall on the staff, on us older players, to kind of to flip it on its head and make it a kind of, like you say, maybe a revenge thing, or whatever you can turn it into to get the best out of your players, and yourself. You first of all, you've got to, as a player, you've got to get your own head right. You've got to, whatever you need to turn it into to make you perform, and that's what you do. So it'll be down to us as a squad. It'll be down to us as a club, but ultimately it's down to individuals.
Yeah, which is why I think Saturday's result was so important. The 5 goals, the manner of it, the clean sheet as well. It feels like it put all of that to bed.
Yeah. Like I said at the start, it does feel, that it was a kind of near complete performance, and did enough for each kind of, for the fact we kept a clean sheet, the fact we scored 5 goals. We scored from set pieces, we scored from open play, we scored late on. It was the perfect kind of pick me up for everybody, really. Yeah,
and a 17th clean sheet this season, which is a pretty remarkable stat.
Yeah, great. Something we work hard on, something we do it's not just down to us at the back or down to Simo in goal. It's down to everybody. I'm sure the amount of balls forward this season have halved since, because of Morgs' work rate. The amount of clearances, the amount of balls forward, Mars, Sammy, Hemo, anybody, Jaden who plays there, block coming our way, just takes the workload off us and changes it and flips it on its head and puts pressure on the other team. So we do our bit, and we're also very grateful for the hard work the lads in front of us do too.
How vital do you think promotion is this season? Fans have been saying for such a long time, we need to get out of this league. It is the strongest squad that we've had, I think. Probably, I don't know. You're the man to ask. Actually, how did you think this squad compares to that first one under John Eustace?
I think it's right up there. Obviously, there's a different style of play, not completely different because we do play good football, but it's not quite to the extent that we did with John. But yeah, like I say, right up there. The expectation now is to get promoted, whether any way we can. Whether we can do that is obviously, we'll wait and see. But I think we've got as good a chance as any. We say this is the best squad we've had in however long, but that's what Gateshead will be saying too. That's probably what Brackley are saying. That's probably what everybody's probably saying the same. So there's a hell of a lot of teams trying to get out of this league who all think they've got the best squad they've had or the best squad best chance they've got in however many years to get out of the league. So we're one of a number of clubs wanting to do exactly that.
Yeah, and if we do, touch wood, get out of the division, what would it mean? What would it mean for you? Would it mean more, perhaps? You say about Harriers being home for you. One of your good mates is a manager as well.
I think personally, it would be a massive achievement. It would be something that I would be immensely proud of, to be a part of. It would mean a lot to me. As it would, a lot of the lads. It's kind of a trait of a lot of the players here that we care so much about the club. Some might not like to admit it, but you can tell. Like, you can tell in performances, they might not want to give that kind of bravado away, but it does. And you can, like I say, you can tell by the way we play, the way we stick together, the way we love trying to give back to supporters, and like I say, the effort that we do put in.
What's your message to the fans then? 9 games to go. We're back to winning ways. What's your message to the fans?
Just continue doing what you've been doing all season. It is getting down to the nitty gritty now. So if we're all pulling in the same direction, keep sucking the ball into that goal in the north stand, and just keep giving us everything you've given us so far, because it gives the players, it gives the staff. I've said this at many clubs. The support from fans is more important than fans and supporters understand. I think it's a kind of cliche thing for footballers to say, "Oh, we really appreciate the support," but when you hear them cheering for you and for your team on a Saturday, there is no better way of building a player's confidence.
And is that connect between the club and the fans? Is it as strong as it has been in your times at the club?
Yeah, it's probably the strongest I've ever known it. Definitely. I think that's been something that's been put in place by the owners, by Richard, by Neil, by the gaffer, by Jimmy. It's something, like I say, it's something the lads love doing as well. It's not something that's forced upon us. It's not something that was told, right, you need to do this, you need to go on that horseshoe lap after the game. It's just something that's naturally happened because we understand what the supporters are giving us, and we're doing everything we can to give them the same back.
I put out a tweet and on the Harriers message board about doing this, putting some questions out for you. So there's a few that have come in. Sheffield Harrier says, best moment for you at Harriers?
Best moment? It's hard to say. There's been obviously this season's FA Cup games have been amazing. personally, that first appearance for Kidderminster, when like I say, I was really struggling. I was, whether I was still going to be a footballer, and kind of that experience is a massive highlight. But just being, the whole kind of connection I found with fans, and the kind of way I've been accepted, really. I've never lived in Kidderminster. I'm not from Kidderminster, but to have that kind of affiliation, and having been so proud to play so many games for the club, I think that overall is probably the biggest kind of total moment for me, really.
Yeah, well, you also asked best moment in the game. I don't know, with that, are they one and the same, or do you have a different moment in your career?
I think in my whole career it would be originally kind of signing professional contracts. I think that was my, I'd already played 10 league games by the time I signed my professional contract. So to finally, kind of sign on that line, and you can officially call yourself a professional footballer, that's a magical moment.
Yeah. Who was your manager at Wolves?
Dave Jones.
Okay.
Gave him my debut. Yeah. He was that. He was kind of the one who gave him my chance. There was a few injuries. I ended up. That's the first time I'd ever played right back in my life. It was my debut for the first team at Wolves. So that was strange. But everybody's story is different, isn't it? And unfortunately, mine went okay.
Advice for younger players? That's one of the questions that's come
in. Probably something you don't realise yourself until you're probably older is to kind of just to be comfortable in who you are as a player and as a person, obviously in life itself. But I think when I was younger, I maybe focused too much on what other people thought of me, and let that get me down. Just because somebody thought I wasn't right for them, or thought I wasn't good enough for them, didn't mean that was right. Didn't mean that was true. There are plenty of other people out there. I play for a number of clubs. There's just because one person's opinion means is that you're not good enough for them. There are plenty more out there who will have what you stand for, who will like what you do, who like you are as a person, and you can make a good career out of it.
There's the next two. I'll bear in mind these are their questions, not mine. So Don't put any blame on me. Best and worst manager at Kidderminster during your time? It's a bit unfair, I think. One of the,
you know what? It's hard, isn't it? Because I don't think I've played for a manager where we've really struggled, really.
Yeah.
Okay, like Colin took the reins when I came back last time, but he's wasn't really a manager. He was just kind of keeping things ticking over, really. So it would be harsh to really give it anybody, because we've always done all right. I've not been at the club when the club has really struggled, to be honest. So I'm kind of fortunate that way, really.
Yeah.
I suppose.
So the best I imagine would be between Russ and Yatesy then, or John, obviously.
Yeah. Again, so it could be a 3-horse race. We just missed out on the playoffs my first time round with Mark. We're doing really well now. Who knows where this could end now? And we were again so close with John Eustace. So I've played under some really, really good managers. So I can't really, it'd be very, very hard to pick one. Obviously, promotion this year would obviously tip it in Russ's favour.
Final one from Sheffield Harriers says, "What's your secret to looking so young?"
A bit of irony in that one, I think. Yeah. When you've had the stress of playing so as many games as I have, it's difficult when you've played in front of some dodgy goalkeepers. It adds on a lot of stress, I think. So that's where the wrinkles come on and things like that. So no, it's I'm very fortunate to be kind of put through all the stress, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh, I won't ask Phil's question, which says, "How many grandchildren have you got?" So that's.
Struggle keeping the 3 of my own in check at the minute, anyway.
Some of the other ones, one of the ones was the question about the joke between you and Declan Rice. A Kiddy best 11 that you've played with?
I'm going to upset too many people if I go through that. Yeah. Like I say, I was lucky. I've played in so many good teams in my 3 spells. It's so difficult. There's too many players. There's too many good players. I'd end up leaving myself out or something silly like that. So it would be impossible to go through a whole 11 and not picking certain people. So I can't do it. It's impossible.
Is this going to be your last season? That's one of the questions that's come in.
I don't know whether it's up to me or whether it's up to the gaffer. It's something we'll get down to. It's something that obviously I've thought about as well. But it's something that we'll discuss and come down to something really. It's I feel good. I've kept myself fit. I've not been, touch wood, I've not been injured for any weekends or any Tuesday games yet so far this season. So if I can keep myself in shape, then I will obviously and things suit, then I will try and carry on.
Another one says the difference between coming to Kiddy as a youngster and then returning as one of the older guard, if you like, more experienced players.
Just I suppose just a bit of extra responsibility, really. But I think I kind of already felt that even the first time round, coming back and I played a handful of games at higher levels and things like that. I kind of like to think that I could help with that experience as well. So probably just the added responsibility of kind of being one of those older heads and it's not even a kind of chore really. I enjoy passing on those kind of nuggets of information. If I can, like I said with Reece before, if there's anything I can do to help any of the lads, then they all know that they could, I'll drop anything to help them out.
Another question says, favourite cake?
Favourite cake?
Sorry about the random nature of these.
You know what? Any cake by my mother-in-law. She's amazing at making cakes. So anything she makes is right up there for me.
Are you a good cook? Do you cook a lot?
Not as well. Yeah, my wife looks after us. She's amazing. She's a really good cook as well. So I do try and pitch in, but I wouldn't say I put myself up there, not at all.
All-time favourite centre halves. I think this is maybe just generally across football. Who are the ones that stand out for you? Kind of
idols, like growing up, it would be kind of your John Terrys, Rio Ferdinands, people like that who did everything at the highest level and achieved everything. Those are the kind of guys you want to be when you're growing up. So they were the pin-ups really when I was a kid.
David Ward, who you may know from your time at York, says, will you be bringing back the haircut that you had at York? There was a few. I remember doing a few Google image searches today.
I don't think I could grow it long enough anymore. I don't think there's enough of it left to grow that long. So probably not is my answer.
And he also says, was Russ's goal against Morecambe really the greatest that Bootham Crescent has ever seen?
Well, obviously I haven't seen them all, but you'd have to go a long way to beat it. I think it was mainly because it was so unlikely for unlike him to take a shot really from that far out. I think that was what surprised everybody more than anything. But he doesn't like to mention it too much.
Kept the club up there, didn't it? I think.
It was. I think that's again what made it so special was the circumstance behind it all as well.
There is one more, just bear with me. Typically it came in on Twitter while I was talking to you. So 2 seconds. Where has it gone? Here we go. This is from Ollie Ansell, says, what was the most challenging point in your career for you?
It would have been at the start where I was looking for jobs and looking for where the money was coming from. Right at the start when you think, I'd had what 3.5 years as a professional footballer, and then in the end, like I say, circumstances clubs had no money. I was, looking for a club, and it was a real scary time.
Best advice you've received?
Best advice on a kind of technical technically would be when I was a young lad. Just I'm just getting a bit technical now, but like kind of just receiving a ball from long distance. There's a player called Mark Kennedy at Wolves who helped me massively with that, and just to kind of just the way to stop the ball dead. That's as simple as it was. But once it kind of clicked and I knew what I was doing after that, I think that's where my kind of what I like to think a bit of composure on the ball comes from, being able to have that good first touch and to be able to know I can trust it, and I think that kind of took me kind of onto the next level as kind of receiving a ball as a centre back. I wasn't just as I was previously, just literally one touch, head it, kick it as far away as I could. That was some really good advice.
And could you take it on the run like he did as well?
I'm not like him. He was really good. He came back for a while at Macclesfield, and we had a chat about it. And he's a really good coach as well. Something I'll always remember that really helped me with my game.
Best Harriers centre back that you've played with? You said you don't want to upset.
Yeah, it's hard. I've had some like from Kreitz to to the boys now, and obviously Tunney in the middle as well. So I've been very fortunate to play with a lot of really good centre-halves.
Yeah, how much satisfaction do you get when you've played alongside somebody and then their sort of their career kicks on? I'm thinking of Jordan, for example, who's obviously doing really well in League Two with Crawley. I've seen him a number of times when I've been following Bradford, and he's been pretty much man of the match every single game. He's really come on both physically, I think, and as a footballer as well. Yeah. So how much satisfaction, excuse me, does that give you to see players who, he was a youngster, wasn't he, when he played alongside you?
It's great to see. Obviously, I can't, credit all the credits to him. I think when I signed, he'd just come back off loan from somewhere. He'd been sent to the depths of non-league, and he was trying to get a game down there. So for him to come out the other side and do so well, I'm constantly checking for scores and seeing how he's done and things like that, like you do with mates over the years. So it's all credit to him. It's great to see, and something he deserves, because he was a very good player, a good person as well, and very good professional.
Last one. A few people have asked this. Obviously, you're in the twilight of your career. Is that the way?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, what next after football? Before doing this, I was doing a bit of Googling, and I've seen you say on another podcast that management coaching just doesn't appeal.
Not particularly. I think I've sacrificed a lot for football. Obviously, I would never say never, but I've sacrificed a lot of my life to football. Not that like I say, I wouldn't change it for the world, but I think I would like to kind of take a step back, at least for a while, and just kind of enjoy things that I've not been able to. I'd love to go and watch a game as a fan, and I'd love to take my kids to a game that I'm not involved in, that's got nothing to do with me, and there's no added stress of that. And but obviously, never say never. I've got a lot. I know I would have a lot to offer the game in terms of coaching and things like that. I think management is not my kind of skill set, but yeah, it's something definitely to still consider, and yeah, I feel like I would have a lot. I've gained a lot of experience. I'd have a lot to offer, but it's for the immediate future. I think I would like to just take a step back and enjoy it a bit more. Yeah.
And if you completely walked away from football, where could you see yourself? What are your passions away from the game?
First of all, it would be spend as much time with my family as I could. And I've got 3 young kids who are like the kind of light of our lives at home. So they're they would trump everything really. They would be the kind of the thing we look forward to doing at home. And then other than that, I've been helping out at their school as well. I've been just helping out the teachers as kind of a teaching assistant and things like that. So I've really enjoyed doing that. So maybe there's something in there, but yeah, like I say, just enjoying myself in general and doing things that I haven't been able to do probably because of because I've been a footballer for most of my life.
Yeah, we'll have to start calling you Mr. Lowe.
yeah, it doesn't quite sound right just yet. But, yeah, I'll stick to Keith at the minute.
If the kids start calling you Keith, then there's something wrong.
Yeah,
it was always Sir when I was at school. We never knew our teachers' first names.
Yeah, we were the same.
Yeah. Keith, thank you very much. I'm sorry. Well, I say sorry. It's such a long one, but it's been really, really good. So thank you for spending your time with us. It's been great.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your service as well in your 3 spells. It's been great.
I've enjoyed every second.
Good. Well, let's hope it continues, and let's hope that the season ends the way that we all want it to as well. There's a real buzz around the club at the moment, and I ended the one with Russ by just saying thank you for getting it all back together, the club and the fans, and I think that applies to you and all the playing squad as well. It's been brilliant. So best of luck for the next 9 games, the next 12 games possibly.
Yeah,
next 12 games. Let's get it right, and let's see where we are come the end of the season.
Brilliant. Yeah, let's all push towards the same goal. We'll all get there together.